I just got a couple things I'd like to share out here. Some of them are related to what John talked about, and some are not. Most of what I'm wanting to show you is going to be of greater interest to some of the newer people, particularly some of the newer who hate trying to find the queen. And I stumbled across something a while back, and it just has made my life so much easier to not have to sit there and find the queen. Because like probably a lot of people, I'm not very good at it. I'm getting better at it though. I found quite a few this spring. Firstly, there's a little hive here that I'm going to check into, and this goes back to what John was talking about. You do that notching, you wait your 30 days, and then you look for your eggs. Don't wait a lot longer than that, because well, you'll end up with laying workers, right, Jay? Yeah. So that's the part of the whole thing that I didn't really cover very well last year, and so some of the people who tried it ended up with getting some laying workers on the hives that didn't mate. So what happened here was, this was a month ago, this was the 2nd of May. We were checking hives, and I noticed this one here with the pail on it. Nothing. There's good population. I didn't want to lose that momentum. No eggs, no brood, no queen. So I stole a frame of brood, young brood, from the hive next door, did my magic notch and threw it in there. I haven't opened that lid since, so no, I have. A week later I looked, and there was some nice cells in there, but I haven't looked in that since, so we're going to check that for the very first time today. I kind of wanted this to be something fun. When John was here, he could kind of go in and check that, but he's not here. And I'm going to be working kind of fast because of the cold weather. I don't want my brood being out of there a long time, if in fact there is brood. Empty feed pail. Look at my population. That doesn't look like a hive that's been queenless for a month, does it?
Nope.
So far.
Not that I need to for you, but
well, not bad. Not bad. What do you notice about how they're acting? Pretty calm, aren't they? It doesn't to me look like a queenless hive. It doesn't look to me like a hive.
The first time.
It doesn't look to me like a hive that's been queenless for a month, for sure. So I'm expecting good things. The one thing that I remember John and I, JR, I was going to call him today, talked about was just some tips for new people. I'm a fairly new person too, because people are always ending up, oh, I have no queen, and a lot of times it's because you killed your queen, and a lot of times it's because you weren't sure how you should do this part of it. I always want to pull either the outside or the second frame, and this is lending itself well to pull the outside one for a couple of reasons. And this is kind of a special frame I have made up, and I'll tell you all about that in a bit. I'm just quickly looking for eggs there, and I do not see eggs. That's the outside frame. I would not expect to see eggs. When I pull this next frame, you'll notice that the webbing that they make between them. And this is for the new people. One of my mentors told this to me when I was brand new, and I was very thankful. Scrape off the webbing on the frame next to it, so that all that webbing comes with the frame I'm working on. Because that's a good way to kill your queen, is that webbing scrapes up the frame as you pull it out, right? And then you can pull that out. I have lots of space because I've already taken a frame out. So there's a little bit of smattering of pollen in there, some nectar, etc. The queen, I would not expect the queen to be there either, although there's some empty cells. I'd not expect her there because it's mostly pollen and nectar. She should be on more of an empty frame. I'm going to predict that she's laying in here. farther down. Because you see what they're doing. They're putting all the pollen, all that wet pollen that's bee bread in there. You see cups in your hives? What do you think when you see cups in your hives? Anybody? What does that mean?
Means you have cups in your hive.
Thanks, Jay.
No problem.
Anybody else? What's the significance of an empty cup in your hive? I think an empty cup means nothing. They're pretty normal. If there's jelly in that cup, then that means something totally different. Not seeing eggs there. That's a... Oh, there we go. We got some eggs. Now, does anybody want to see that? I don't want to pass a frame around being it's that cold, but if you want to come in close and see that, I would invite you to do that now. No? Okay. I got something crazy going on in this hive, this frame. What is this?
I want to see how she looks.
Well, I'd like to see how she looks too. So we've got a cup here. Yeah, she's a nice big black one right there, see?
You got it?
Looks pretty good, yeah. It's right here.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Not bad, eh? That was an OTS queen, notched May 2nd in a queenless hive. So this cell looks like, this cup looks like it's a little more drawn. So I'm interested to see, and there's nothing in it. No problem.
So is she laying already?
Oh yes, that frame is almost full of eggs. So that's the frame she's laying on, which is awesome. Everybody get a look there who wanted to see?
How many notches did you do in this hive?
I don't recall.
Just one frame, didn't we?
Well, we only put one frame in.
Yeah.
Usually I try to do 2 notches on each side of the frame.
Yeah.
I try to notch everything I can on that frame, and then once they build cells I can call if I need to. So you see how happy I am.
I'm happy.
Well, I took a hive that had
That was done.
nothing, it was done. And with the expense of one frame of brood from this hive, and you see that hive has a double on it now, so they're doing just fine. I now have a laying queen in this hive, and she's mine. Cost me $0. So she's a new queen. She should be nice and healthy, ready to go. You can see she's laying like gangbusters. Gonna kill her in 3 weeks.
Well, you can just give her to us.
Yeah. Anybody want a queen?
I do.
What's the actual date that you put that frame in there when you realized you would have her?
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
That's really early. I was not. I was not confident that this would work out because actually the rule that I use, Waldemar's around here somewhere. There is the rule that I use is what I learned from Waldemar. He says if you have drones walking on the comb, you can graft, right? And so when we did that, it was the 2nd of May, and I have no other choice. It's either say goodbye or combine or whatever. I saw one drone walking on comb in this apiary that day. And I saw one drone outside of a hive in the apiary that day out of 60 hives. So I thought, okay, the rule is if you see a drone walking on the comb, you can graft. So we did.
It's gonna be a busy drone.
He didn't have much competition. So I'm just doing a little bit of housekeeping here because of the way I am. She hasn't laid any of this stuff, it's mostly honey. I want to get a couple of frames outside of this green one. I've got that now.
So how many of your hives did you do?
This year,
Yeah.
we made 48 so far
Oh, okay.
out of what you see here. So what I'm doing here, I want to run this frame. This was on the outside. I want it in number 3. This is not a established process either. Something I'm experimenting with. I just call these drone frames. I've been using the plastic large cell frames for drones. You know, kind of works out. It's whatever you want to do. The one thing that this really does for you is, do you notice the lack of drone comb built on the top of my frames? You probably see that all over in your hives, right? Well, guess where they put their drones? They put them in here instead of on there. So that's one reason it kind of keeps things a little more tidy for you. You can kind of regulate her. That's foundationless. So if you say, oh, I want to slow her down on producing drones, cut that out, and then they have to rebuild it before she can, you know. So it's just kind of one of those things that you can experiment with.
Couldn't you have that strip in the center, Brad?
What's that?
Or is that a strip in the center? That's...
Because the way, yeah, I should show you. There's some around here. I have some new ones I could show you, but that's a half a sheet of foundation.
A drone foundation?
No, that's a half a sheet of right cell. I just I take a stack and I cut them in half on my table saw. And so I pin that just so it stays in the center. And so that's right here. And all of that is foundationless, and all of this is foundationless. And, you know, you can use that. I haven't done it yet, but one thing I want to do is you put that in a honey super, fill that with honey and everything, and guess what you get here? A nice chunk of comb honey. You take that in the house and sell it to your neighbors or whatever, right? So it's just kind of different things. Plus, you get all your honey frames, and they're stable enough because you got half a sheet of foundation, and you cut your foundation costs in half because now you get twice as many frames for your costs, right?
Can you spin that? Is it a ballpark?
I have never spun one of those. However, I run quite a few foundationless honey frames that are wired. There's 4 wires.
Yeah.
I spin those all the time and never had a problem. So, we'll put this one back together.
We have to wrap these up again if it still gets cold.
Another degree down, boy, and it's going to be wrapping time. I'll just set that over there so they have a lid.